All right, shalom, 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 shalom. We're gonna get into this PowerPoint. Y'all see the title, Near East Migration to Sub-Saharan Africa. It's going to be tons of information. It's going to be a lot of sources. So y'all bear with me. I would definitely recommend to probably watch this twice. Look up the sources because it was months that I was creating this PowerPoint on top of years of research. So I pray you brothers and sisters enjoy it. I pray you don't take this presentation in vain. I also pray that everybody is safe with the blizzard that is sweeping across the entire United Snakes of America. You know, I pray everybody's good, everybody's warm, everybody has their lights on, everybody has enough food, enough water. Definitely prayers going up to the children of Israel scattered across the four corners of the earth. And let's get right into it. No time wasted. Let's get right into it. Add this. And okay, so the Near East to Sub-Saharan Africa migration. So I had two previous classes on this. It was the ancient Near East influence on Sub-Saharan Africa and also Israel dispersed in Africa. I advise you to go and watch those classes because it will also make this class make a lot more sense, because every single presentation that I'm putting together, they all coincide. So as I begin to go deeper and deeper into history, as I begin to, in the future, go into the Sea Peoples, go into even Israel, going into the Far East, which is in places like India and Asia and Japan, so on and so forth. All of these presentations are going to be shown to you. So once again, I advise everybody to, on the YouTube, look at the playlist History with Yahweh, and especially these two classes are going to coincide with the class I'm giving you today. So let's get right into it. So this is a very important map to look at, right? This is a map right here that shows the Moroccan coin usage to trade in Songhai. So you see, there's a lot of skeptics that say things like, there is no way Israel could have traveled across the desert of the Sahara to make it to the interiors of Africa, let alone the west coast of Africa, which is where the bulk of the transatlantic slave trade happened. But if you see before the transatlantic slave trade, from the 7th to 14th centuries, you see that there was trade all throughout the desert, including the interiors of sub-Saharan Africa. So it shows you that these things were well known during these times, and people traded all over, including Spain and Portugal, that traded with the Maghreb, which is Northwest Africa. Okay, so I'm just showing you this so you can actually have a visual on how, when people tell you there's no way anybody could have crossed the Saharan desert from the Near East, it's just something that they're making up because they want to sound good. That's all. It's literally all they're doing. So let's continue. Now, the next slide. This is a map of the spread of Islam in Africa. So if Islam spread it in Africa and they had to cross the desert, and you see 7th to 8th century going all the way to the 8th to the 12th century on the Lower East. So what do you see here? If Islam was able to spread through Africa and cross the Saharan desert to go into the interiors of Africa and West Africa today, nobody should ever tell you that these things are impossible, because then you're disagreeing with history. Okay, let's continue. So this is the travels in North Africa, and I don't have the page numbered, excuse me, but we're going to get right into it. Go ahead, Kawan, read that for me.
The oral traditions, which are everywhere found concerning the early Jewish history of this country, are beginning to find confirmation in Arab writings and even in inscriptions of Jewish origin.
So this is why I said you should look into the previous classes, because I showed Arabic sources, primary sources, that actually talked about the Jews in West Africa. Okay, continue reading.
We are beginning to learn now of a great migration in the time of Muhammad, or even before, in the famous year of the elephant. Many Jews were forced into Arabia.
Come on.
We are told of the Yehud Khaybar, the Rakab, a tribe of shepherds and agriculturalists, intrepid horsemen who at one time encamped on the shores of the Red Sea, and who finally crossed the Sudan and penetrated to the farthest points of the Sahara.
Go ahead.
To them, the Moorish natives, as well as the Arabs and Negroes, attribute the founding of the first empires, the erection of the first public buildings in the country, the construction of the first canals and irrigation systems, and the institution of a social and economy regime which still survives in all Saharan communities.
So you see that it is clear that all through the oral traditions, the Arabic writings, so on and so forth, and we're going to get into some today, that actually speaks about the presence of Jews in the Sahara, in the Maghreb, and we're going to even show in the west coast of Africa, going into the interiors of Africa. See, a lot of people will go into Babylon to Timbuktu and show 70 AD, and we must grow from that and actually read books. Okay? So once again, I'm gonna say this one last time, and I pray you actually do this. Every single source I'm going to show you today, get the source, utilize the source, read the source, and be a Berean. Do not just take this PowerPoint and take what I'm saying for face value. Actually try to debunk me. That's what I asked every Israelite to do that even believes what I teach. Try to debunk me, and then you can actually see if what I'm showing you is true or not. Let's continue.
Next slide.
Yes, sir. Next slide.
According to the oral traditions of the ruling Abraid Adwana clan, they originated from ancient Ghana. They migrated from the north and went through Egypt and settled in Nubia, Sudan, around 500 AD, 5th century, due to the pressure exerted on Nubia by Aksumite or Aksumite kingdom of Ethiopia. Nubia was shattered, and the Akan people moved west and established small trading kingdoms. These kingdoms grew, and around 750 AD, the Empire of Ghana was formed. The empire lasted from 750 AD to 1200 AD and collapsed as a result of the introduction of Islam in the Western Sudan.
Go ahead.
And the zeal of the Muslims to impose their religion. Their ancestors eventually left for Kong, i.e. present-day Ivory Coast. From Kong, they moved to Wam and then to Dorma, both located in present-day Brong Ahafo region. The movement from Kong was necessitated by the desire of the people to find suitable savanna conditions since they were not used to forest life. Around the 14th century, they moved from Dorma southeastward to Twifo, Hermang, Northwest Cape Coast. This move was commercially motivated.
Now you see this is copied from a book known as the Akan, the reality as myth. Now these are Africans writing these sources. Now you see what they're trying to tell you is they came from the ancient Near East, the Akans, from the land of Canaan, and traveled to Egypt, then went down to Nubia, then went into the Saharan desert, going all the way down into sub-Saharan Africa and the west coast of Africa. This is what their oral traditions are saying. This is what they're writing down. Okay, let's continue. This is from a book called The Hebrewisms of West Africa. Now read the top. This is south of the Sahara. Go ahead.
Whatever may be thought of more or less mythological traditions connected with the earliest Jews in North Africa, it is now practically an established fact that a Jewish nation, Jewish, at least in faith, and perhaps too in origin, long held sway south of the Sahara.
Go ahead.
Maurice Delafosse.
You could just jump down to the to where it's highlighted. Yes, sir.
Next highlighted portion.
Mhm.
But from the 2nd and 3rd centuries, there were also Judeo-Syrians coming from Cyrenaica.
So there's been many different migrations into Africa. This has to be understood. I'm gonna dive into one particular migration in the further slides, but this must be understood. Jump down to Ghana.
Ghana. Their title of Ghana, from which their capital took its name, Judeo-Syrians.
Now read it all. Salakia.
Their title of Ghana, from which their capital took its name, has nothing Arabic about it.
Mhm.
Perhaps it belonged to the language of the first founders of the Empire of Ghana. That is to say, to the language which, without doubt, was made up at the time of Aramean, Egyptian, and Berber elements that the Judeo-Syrians spoke when they arrived in Al-Kar.
Okay, so now they're linking this title as Ghana with Judeo-Syrians. Let's continue. Let me show you something. Now, Ghana is also linguistically known in Hebrew. So the etymology of the name Ghana means strong warrior king. That's what it means on the west coast of Africa. It means the same thing in Hebrew, a ruler or protector. Now, what we would say in what we call the Lashawan Quadash, we would say Ganan. But in a lot of the Judean Syrian Hebrew, going all the way to the modern Hebrew today, it'll be known as Ghana. So the etymology of the name Ghana means strong warrior king and was the title accorded to the kings of the medieval Ghana Empire in West Africa. Not to be confused with today's Ghana, as the empire was further north in modern-day Republic Mali, Senegal, southern Mauritania, as well as the region of Guinea. So what are you seeing here? You're seeing correlation. Okay, let's continue. Let's read this. This is from the Encyclopedia of African American History. Read that.
Ghana, or as it was called by its inhabitants, Wagado, around CE 100 by the Soninke, who, according to their tradition, migrated from the city of Sonen, Aswan, in Upper Egypt.
You see that? They migrated from Upper Egypt. That's why I have to say it again. Watch the previous classes, because I showed how there was up to a number of 1 million Jews before and during the time of Christ. Where? In Egypt. Read.
Migrated from the city of Sanan, Aswan, in Upper Egypt to the region of southeastern Mauritania.
Let's continue. Now, you see, this is Carter G. Woodson. He wrote The Miseducation of the Negro. Okay, now, this is what he said on page 19. Most missionary teachers of the freedmen, like most of the men of our time, had never read the interesting books of the travel in Africa, and I've never heard of the Tariq al-Sudan. We're going to dive into it. Here goes these Arabic sources, right? This is the Tariq al-Sudan. Look what it says here. Read that.
Mansa Musa in the Mali.
Next slide. Yes, sir. Salakia.
The Tariq al-Sudan chronicles the founder of the Zwa dynasty was a man called Zwa al-Yaman, meaning he came from Yemen.
So you see, there is a man recorded going into Africa and sub-Saharan Africa that came from Yemen. Keep that in your mind. Read the latter half.
Zwa al-Yaman is said to have migrated from Yemen and settled in the town of Kukia in Mali.
In Mali, West Africa. Let's continue. Go ahead.
Local legends state that Zwa al-Yaman was a member of the Jewish communities that migrated from Yemen after the Aksumite Ethiopians defeated the Jewish king Himyar.
Now, I want you to remember Himyar as we continue to go through all of these sources. Keep this in your mind. Go ahead.
After the Aksumite Ethiopians defeated the Jewish king of Himyar, Yusuf Du Nuwas, in the 6th century, circa 525 CE.
Mm-hmm.
Himyar was a kingdom in what would be modern-day Yemen and was in power from 110 BCE to 525 BCE.
Go ahead.
Judaism was the state religion
So
of
you see that? So Judaism was the state religion of Himyar since around 380 CE. Go ahead.
Judaism was the state religion of Himyar since around circa 380 CE. Himyar also conquered the Hadramaut region of Yemen and the neighboring Sabaean kingdom.
Now let's continue. Now this is from a book called Jews and the Quran. It's going to be a lot of information that we're going to read here, but this is just to back up the previous statement as Jews were beginning to rule in what is known as modern day Yemen. Remember this, because then we're going to show that these Yemenis, quote unquote, or the kingdom of Himyar that was ruled by the Jews began to flood into Africa. Okay? Let's read this.
In addition to Arab sources, archaeology also attests to these links between the kingdom of Himyar and the Jews of Palestine.
You see that? So there's links between the Jews of Palestine and the kingdom of Himyar. There's even evidence of Hellenized Jews going down there after the persecution of Rome ransacking Jerusalem during the Roman and Jewish wars from 67 to 73 AD, and they went down to Himyar with Jewish scrolls that were written in Greek. All of this must be known. All of this has to be understood. Salakia, keep reading.
In the 20th century, inscriptions were discovered concerning the Jews of Himyar, indicating that long before the advent of Islam,
Come on.
There were in Arabia Jewish or Arab tribes that had converted to Judaism.
You see, so there was an evidence of people keeping Torah. Come on.
To this day, Himyarite burial chamber, which dates from the 3rd century CE and is located in the monumental necropolis of Beit She'aram, southeast of Mount Carmel, constitutes the oldest and most important archaeological discovery in this domain.
Mm-hmm.
In his book, The Jews in Arabia, Israel Ba'arav, H.Z. Hirschberg was the first to point out the great interest of these graves. In his view, the bodies of the deceased Himyarites had not been transported 2,000 kilometers from Himyar. Rather, members of this community had settled in one of the southeastern towns of the Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
Hirschberg's theories are supported by the recent discovery at Zoar, to the south of the Dead Sea, of inscriptions of Himyarite Jewish tombs dating from 470 and 477 CE. They are written in a mix of Arabic, Aramaic, and Sabaean. One of them, nevertheless, indicates that the deceased had been transferred for burial at Zoar from Himyar's capital, Zafar, 130 kilometers south of Sana'a.
Mm-hmm.
Hirschberg supposed that the majority of Jews, particularly those hailing from lands along the Via Ordoferia or Incense Road, far away from historic centers of Palestine and Babylonia, were devoted to trade, and supposition confirmed by such literary sources as the pre-Islamic Arabic poetry in the 6th century. Among the Arab poets who mention Himyarite Jews is Imru al-Qais, circa 500 to 550 CE, a prince from the king.
Go ahead.
A prince from the kingdom of Kinda and vassal of Himyar, who is said to have converted to Judaism in the pre-Islamic period. The verses of other famous Arab poets state that the Jews of South Yemen produced and sold wine in the region of Hadramaut.
Hey, that's how we pronounce it right now, brother. Keep reading.
Hadramaut. Crazy.
Go ahead,
Indeed, amphoras of wine dating from the 1st century were recovered in underwater excavations at Kanai, present-day Bir Ali, a town on the southern coast of Yemen.
Go ahead, a little bit more. Finish it up.
Archaeological studies teach us that the Jews' kingdom, Salakia, archaeological studies teach us that the Jews of the kingdom of Himyar were organized into a community possessing all of the usual institutions of the Jewish diaspora. Salakia, diaspora. The remnants of many synagogues have been found in the region, as have ritual baths.
So you see, there's archaeological evidence. There's evidence from pre-Islamic Arabic poetry. I mean, this is undeniable. Keep reading.
The bath unearthed as Zafar by archaeologist Paul Yule and Katharina Galore meets the ritual requirements of Jewish law and its dimensions and form in the origin of its water, as stated in rabbinic sources. Cemeteries exclusively reserved for Jews in accordance with the requirements of law have also been identified. Nevertheless, despite all of this archaeological evidence, it remains unknown what form of Judaism the Jews of Himyar practiced. Were they linked to the rabbinic Judaism of Palestine or that of Babylonian? Did they practice a more sectarian form of Judaism of a Judeo-Christian or Proto-Karaite variety? The present state of research offers some possible leads.
You could say, but it does.
But it does not allow us to settle these questions definitely.
So why did I just exhaustively have Kawan read all of that? This is simply to prove through archaeological evidence, through the evidence and the groundwork that the historians are actually putting to study this kingdom, that it's undeniable that Jews ruled and were in this kingdom. So when we have, let's go to this previous slide, when we have the Tariq al-Sudan, and you have this person who's saying a Jew that migrated from Yemen going into Mali, you see that it backs up with history. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Now this is the Maghrib, right? I want to show you this. This is where nobody will deny that Jews were. Libya, Algeria, Morocco, and then going down to the Sahel. Nobody will deny that Jews were here. Okay, now look at where the Himyarite tribe from Yemen was. You see? 330 AD. And what did I show? I showed that Jews ruled in this empire. Let's continue to go down this wormhole, as I like to call it. Now, this is pre-Islamic Arabia. Read that in 3.2. Jewish inscription, Israel, Jews, and Hebrew. Go ahead.
In this section, I present a group of findings that can almost certainly be attributed to Jews living in South Arabia and to some South Arabian Jews who immigrated to Palestine.
Go ahead.
As we have seen, the theonyms employed in the Himyarite corpus
There it goes again. Go ahead.
Possess blurred connotations. Any mark of identification as a community that self-identifies as Jewish is missing. For this reason, it is preferable to label their content as monotheistic and not Jewish.
You see that? So the reason why they're saying this is because there was a difference in the customs that they found in Palestine during this time and that they're finding down here in the Himyar Empire. There's a difference in practice. Keep reading.
However, we possess around 10 Himyarite inscriptions, which can be attributed to Jews of Himyar and point to the presence of Jews in late antique South Arabia.
Come on.
A part of this group is formed by inscriptions that either mention the people of Israel, the Jews, or both. An inscription also attests the formula, owner of the sky god of Israel.
Go ahead.
We also possess an edict granting the construction of a Jewish cemetery and 4 plots to bury the Jews with the assurance that they not be buried with non-Jews. Interestingly indicated, to fulfill the obligations towards the Jews. The edict is written by the Kayal of the Midian tribe and further grants the construction of a religious building. In addition to these Himyarite inscriptions mentioning the Jews of South Arabia, 2 Hebrew inscriptions have been found in South Arabia. The first is a mishmarat. The root of the term means to keep watch. Based on a passage in the first book of Chronicles, it indicates the courses in which the priests and the Levites were organized.
Go ahead.
A second small Hebrew inscription is found in the middle of a Himyarite one. It mentions the people of Israel and is written by a certain Yehuda, either a Himyarite convert who adopted a Jewish name. The Hebrew part of the inscription reads, Yehuda wrote, remember him well. Aman, peace, Aman. Moreover, we can add 2 seals to definitely Jewish corpus of South Arabia, one depicting a menorah and another bearing a Jewish name. A group of epitaphs found outside South Arabia can be attributed to Jewish Himyarite immigrants. Commercial relations between South Arabia and the Levant are attested from the end of the First Temple period.
You see that? So since the time of Christ. Now, I apologize for this exhaustive amount of reading, but this is what you have to do to understand how to show how Israelites even got to the west coast of Africa. Let's continue. Gonna read some more.
All right. Martyrdom of Arathus. The Jews are said to have inhabited South Arabia after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. These contacts became more frequent after the Third Jewish-Roman War and following Jewish diaspora. In Catacomb 7 of the necropolis of Beth Sharaim in Lower Galilee, a Greek inscription mentions the Himyarites.
The what?
The Himyarites.
A Greek inscription mentions the Himyarites in Lower Galilee. Why? Because they knew there were Jews there in Palestine. All right. We're going to continue to the next slide. This is, once again, whoever wants this presentation, hit me up. If you don't know me, take a screenshot, read it for yourself. This is a free This should be a free download and a free PDF if you find it. But let's continue. Next slide.
Tal Alan, Lexicon of Jewish Names in Late Antiquity, Part 3, the Western Diaspora, from 330 BCE to 650 CE.
Go ahead.
Mar Siebeck. 8.3 Addendum to Volume 4. A rather substantial amendment to Volume 4 is also included in this volume, resulting from the fact that when it was rather recently completed, I was embarrassingly unaware of developments in the field of study of Southern Arabia, in which many inscriptions similar to Cis 42543, which I had included in Volume 4, which mentions Israel and its God, were grouped together to produce a new picture of the region in the late 4th through 6th century, circa CE.
So why am I showing this? Because I like to back up what I'm saying with sources to show you that Jews were in Himyar. This is simple to understand. Many different historians say this. There's archaeological groundwork. There's linguistic work with even the certain Arabic/Hebrew that is found down there till this day. And it shows that Jews influenced the culture there and were there in very large numbers. Okay, let's continue. Now, yep, we're going to go to the next slide.
Gotcha. Jewish Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora, Origins, Experience, and Culture by Avram Ehrlich. In later centuries, Jews are believed to have settled in Western Africa during the height of the Songhai, Mali, Ghana, and Kanem Bornu empires. According to accounts from explorers of the region, several powerful Jewish families of the Songhai Empire were of Jewish origin until Askia Muhammad came to power and in 1492 decreed that all Jews either convert to Islam or Slovakia, that all Jews either convert to Islam or leave the region.
Go ahead.
According to certain records, in Timbuktu, an older community was formed by a group of Egyptian Jews who traveled by the way of Sahel corridor through Chad into Mali. Another community was that of the Zouar.
There it goes again. Zouar. Read.
Ruler of Koikia, located near the Niger River, whose name is only known as Zwa al-Yaman, meaning he comes from Yemen.
He comes from Yemen. Go ahead.
Local legends state that Zwa al-Yaman was a member of one of the Jewish colonies transported from Yemen by the Abyssinians. Abyssinians in the 6th century CE. Zwa al-Yaman is said to have traveled into West Africa along with his brother and eventually established a local Jewish community between Mali and northern Nigeria.
Go ahead.
Some accounts placed West African Jewish communities in the Ondo forest of
Dahomey,
south of Timbuktu.
So you see, even the guys on the left are saying the same thing. Okay, let's continue. Now, this is a book known as The Unknown Arabs. This book is written by Tariq Berry, and this book has a lot of Arabic sources linked to it. We're going to go into about 2 of them, but let's just start reading now. Go ahead, read that. Now, you might get lost for a second, but all of it's going to make sense. Trust me. That's why I'm saying you might have to watch this class 2 to 3 times. Go ahead, read that.
In its account of the immigration of the Tuba to the area called Africa many years ago, Palmer Sudanese Memoirs mentions the fact that some extinct Arabs immigrated to this area, Africa, at some time in the remote past. The account runs as follows.
Now watch this.
It was Tuba, Umar, the
Himyarite. Go ahead.
The Yemenite.
Go ahead.
Son of Malik.
Go ahead.
Who got lost and went apart when they left Yemen or Yaman and came to Medina, the glorious, where his people multiplied till they reached 1,470 souls of the Tuba ol Awa at Himyarayu, counting men and women. After the death of Umar,
it was Umar,
the Himyarite, the Yemenite, his people migrated to the west and crossed the Great Sea, the Red Sea. They and their learned men of the Banu Adam, the learned Abdali, and his sons, and Ibram, and those who followed them. They crossed the Great Sea and settled on the African coast for many years. There joined with them the people of Baderi or Badeh. When they left the region, they all scattered by reason of the death of their leader, Abdul Rahman ibn Ahmad Abin.
The longest names ever. That name is crazy.
The Himyarite, the Yemenite.
You see that? Okay, so why you like, yeah, what's up? Why are you showing me this? Well, I'm showing you this for this reason. This is showing primary accounts from Arabic sources of somebody from Yemen, from the Himyarite Empire, that's ruled by the Jews, crossing the Red Sea and going into Africa. And then after the death of their leaders, they scattered more into Africa. Let's continue to paint the picture. Go ahead.
Author of Tariq el-Sudan.
We read that earlier. Come on.
Abdel Rahman al-Sadai, who was from the Milthinim,
Malethinim.
Good Lord, quotes Ibn el-Khatib as saying, these Lamton are related to the Lamtuna, and they are from the children of Lant, Jadal, Lent, and Mashduf are descended from Sanhaja.
The Sanhaja. Now, the Sanhaja is important. This is going to be a name that pops up a lot. The Sanhaja is linked to the Jews of Himyar. I'm going to show you. Keep reading.
Lemt is the forefather of Lemta, and Madhuf is the forefather of the Masufa.
The Masufa.
They are nomadic, transitory people who travel about in the Sahara.
They travel about in the Sahara. Watch this.
The Sanhaja are descended from Himyar.
You see that? The Sanhaja are descended from Himyar. They travel in the Sahara. Go ahead.
There is no genealogical relation between them and the Berbers.
So hold on. There's a separation between the Sanhaja and the Berbers. Now, most people who argue this down, that no Israelites went into the west coast of Africa or sub-Saharan Africa, what they will argue is, well, the Berbers were in North Africa. Why don't you? Well, there's no relation to the Sanhaja and the Berbers. They keep two different forms of Judaism, two different forms of worship. Read that again. There is no
genealogical relation between them and the Berbers except through marriage.
Except through marriage. Go ahead.
They left the Yemen and moved to the Sahara.
They left Yemen and moved to the Sahara. Let's continue. Now, this is from a genealogy and knowledge in Muslim studies, understanding the past. Now, start at the top where it says the famous genealogist.
The famous genealogist Ibn al-Khalibi, in his book Nasab Ma'ad wa al-Yaman al-Kabir, was specifically in the chapter on the descendants of Himyar ibn Sabah, refers to Ifikis, Ibn Qais, Ibn Saifi, setting out the aforementioned arguments as the originator of the Berbers' name in the form of Barber because of their way of speaking.
Because of their way of speaking. Now, the most, go ahead.
Al-Barbara signifies a mixture of sounds without meaning. The most important point about this reference is that it mentions the Sanhaja.
It mentions the Sanhaja. Come on.
And the Kutama as Yemenis belonging to the tribe of Himyar.
You see that? You see? So it's showing you that among the Berbers, among the Sahara, there's these people known as the Sanhaja and the Kutama that are from Yemen of the tribe of Himyar, which are Jews. Keep reading.
And as the sons of Al-Sur, Ibn Sa'id, Ibn Jabir, Ibn Sa'id, Ibn Qais, Ibn Safi, according to the text, both tribes had settled among the Berbers until today. The author wants to emphasize that at the time of his writing, those people had not returned to the Yemen and remained in the Maghrib.
I showed you the map earlier. They remained in the Maghrib. I pray everybody's following along, because I'm going to keep showing how these people went into West Africa and in the interiors of Africa. I've already shown Egypt. I've shown around where the Berbers are, Sahara, and the Maghrib. Let's continue. As regards this subject.
It is also important to take into account the Kitab al-Aqil by Al-Hassan ibn Ahmad ibn Yaqub al-Hamdani.
Listen, you're doing your best, brother. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
As it is specifically mentioned as proof of the Himyari origin of the Sanhaja in Western Islamic sources.
You see that? So these are Islamic sources that prove that the Sanhaja of the Sahara are from Himyari. They come from Yemen. They're of this tribe. Let's continue.
All right. Later Eastern authors echoed previous traditions, as in the case of the Yemeni Nashwan ibn Sa'id al-Hamyari, who used al-Hamdani as a source.
Mm-hmm.
In his Malik Himyar, while al-Yaman, he relates the ancient stories about the journeys of the Himyari king Abraha and his son Ephraim.
Mm-hmm.
The latter traveled as far as Tangiers, ordered the city of Iphikria to be built, and settled in several Himyari tribes as his Qam, or people. There, namely the Kutama,
The
Uhama,
Kutama, the Uhama, the
Zatari,
Zanata, the Lawata, and the Sanhaja who remained in the Maghrib. So all of these people came from where? Yemen. That's where these people came from. Keep reading.
Ibn al-Athir, when discussing the origin of the Berbers and quoting Ibn al-Kalbi, mentions that the Sanhaja and the Kutama are both Bantu.
Are both what?
Bantu.
Go ahead.
Or Banu, Salaki,
Mhm.
both Banu, sons of Iphikis, Ibn Safi, Ibn Sabah, and that both are tribes of Himyar that remained in the Maghrib among the Berbers.
Among the Berbers. Now, drop down. Matter of fact, keep reading. Salakia.
Yaqut al-Hamwa'i, an author who compiled sources of...
Now, all of these are Arabic authors, Arabic sources. Go ahead.
An author who compiled sources of various origins also quotes Ibn al-Kabi and says that the Sanhaja and the Kutama, unlike the rest of the Berbers, were sons of Ifriqis.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed on as governors of the Maghrib when their father returned to Yemen.
You see that? So they stood in Africa. Let's keep reading.
In the case of Yusuf ibn Tashfin,
start where it says later authors and texts.
Later authors and texts refer to this link between the Almoravid Amir and the tribe of Himyar. Ibn Idhari includes the Nasab Yusuf ibn Tashfin ibn Torjut ibn Waratintin.
Put where he says Al Sanhaji and adds. Read that part. It said, I got it. It says Al Sanhaji and adds, right? This is around right here. All right. Al Sanhaji and adds, Al Hamdani mentioned in his book Al Ilik that Sanha was one of the descendants of the Ad Shams Ibn Wali and Ibn Himyar. So what am I continuing to show? Look, and the stories that say Sanhaja is from the Himyar agree. So again, these Islamic sources are showing that there's a migration there. This is undeniable. You want to debunk it, talk to these guys. Let's continue. Let's paint this picture. Read that.
The Sanhaja from Himyar is crazy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The work Al-Hulal Al-Mawashiyah.
You got it, brother.
Includes the departure of the Mullah Thimawun.
You got it, brother. They from Yemen. That's what we know. They from Yemen, brother. Keep reading.
The reasons why they wore the veil and how they arrived in the Maghrib and intermarried with the Berbers.
Go ahead.
Furthermore, when it discusses the origins of the Sanhaja Lamtuna, it states that they are related to the Berbers only through their kinship with their Berber wives, and adds that the Sanhaja traced their genealogy to Himyar. You
see, they traced their genealogy to Himyar, who came from the Yemen, went to the desert, and settled in the Maghrib. This is undeniable. It's simple, right? Let's continue. Now, this is an Arabic source that this is one of the sources that they're quoting from. I'm going to show the source in the next slide. I just wanted to show you this is what I had to download, and I had to copy and paste the Arabic on Google Translate and actually read this book. But lucky you and bad for me that I'm just going to get straight to the point in the source. So let's continue. Now, I'm going to read the name of the source first, right? It says, the end of the four on the relationship of the Sanhaja to the Himyarites of the Arabs and the continuation of the book of the conclusive proofs of the Himyarite leaders of the Almoravids through the testimony of the most prominent, just, and learned scholars who have been transmitted by many generations, and it is a decisive sword, a drawn descendant of the tongue of the every ignorant, envious, and malicious slanderer.
That's the name of the book.
This is the name of the book. All right. These Muslims and Arabic guys, they don't be playing, right? You see the authors there. You know, we just gonna get straight into it. All right. So luckily, I read it and I found this, and I'm sharing it with you. So go ahead.
One day I was in Medina, specifically the library of my Sheikh Muhammad al-Igatha. May God have mercy on him, and saw a book entitled The Conclusive Evidences of the Leaders of the Himyarites, in which he defends the lineage of his fathers and grandfathers, the Himyarites. May God have mercy on them, and brings together the scattered descendants of their descendants.
The scattered descendants of their descendants. Come on.
When I read it, I saw it was Salakia. I saw it as unique in its kind. So I said, why don't I complete what he wrote and add to it sources from the writings of the people of my country, Yemen, and others? The book's introduction and the classification of historians who spoke on this issue are Sheikh Muhammad al-Igatha, Ibn al-Shaykh, al-Shankiti, divided historians into three categories in his book, Qawati al-Bara. We will expand on his words and summarize what he said. The first category, each of them wrote with knowledge and sincerity, free of any pressure, affectation, hostility, or envy. Each of them wrote word for word what the Sanhaja and the Katama, who are an origin of the Lamtuna, just as the Lamtuna are the origin of the leaders of the Almoravids. Masufia and others trace their lineage back to the kings of the Himyarite Tuba'as.
There it goes again. So these tribes, all throughout the Maghreb in North Africa, going all to the western tip, they all have the lineage that is based back to the Himyarite tribe of the Jews of Yemen. Keep reading.
One of the Tuba'a kings, named Ifriqish, invaded, and the continent of Africa was named after him. He left behind his cousins as kings over the Berbers. It is true that their language necessarily changed while its origins remained. Just as some of their maternal uncles could have been Berbers. Despite the long cohabitation, they still possess all the characteristics of the pure Arabs, Qatani or Yemeni, such as color, eloquence, and conservatism. Among their characteristics is also the longing for the emirate, as they are its sons and worthy of it. The state of affairs of these people, to those historians, deviated and were arrogant and denied their Himyarite lineage in a poem by Al-Ashab in Basit Matir.
Now let's continue. This is from the Yemenis in the Western Sahara. Read part 1.
On the basis of the material available about the penetration.
I promise you, all of this is going to tie in together. I know everybody's like, Yahweh, you keep repeating it. I have to repeat it. Because if not, you're going to go to Babylon to Timbuktu, and then you're going to say in 70 AD, millions of... That didn't happen. I'm going to show you what happened. Go ahead.
On the basis of the material available about the penetration of Western Africa by tribes of Yemeni Arabs, it is tempting to attribute similar cultural links to them alone. In reality, the problem is more complex, as superficial similarities such as the predilection for indigo are typical of the Tuaregs and other non-Arabic speaking Sahara tribes who have had little or no contact with Yemeni Arabs. Furthermore, the Arab historians have a theory that the Sanhaja are themselves Yemenite in origin. This claim is remarkably widespread in Africa.
It's widespread in Africa. It ain't widespread in Europe. It ain't widespread in America. It's widespread in Africa and through the Islamic sources. Continue.
It merits an explanation.
It merits. Somebody explain it to me. I'm wrong. The Muslims are wrong. The people on the continent are wrong. Explain it to me then. Go ahead.
It merits an explanation, but material is so scattered and much so worthless that many have dismissed it. And an example of mythical genealogy concocted by non-Arab Muslims of Africa for social or ethical prestige.
Go ahead. Part 2.
Those parts of the Sahara inhabited by descendants of the veiled Sanhaja and their kindred who claim Almoravid descent are particularly rich in material relating to Himyaritic genealogy.
Go ahead.
In Mauritania, for example, the majority of the lettered Zawaya, is that what's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Zawaya accept this authenticity.
It's all right. Slow down. You don't got to read that fast, brother. You good, brother.
Accept this authenticity for such tribes as the Uduish, the Tajakant, and the Udu Ihaj. Ismail Hamid, in the introduction to his work on Mauritanian historical texts, notes the oral traditions in the Ibn Khaldun excludes the Sanhaja and the Katama from the pretensions of the Berber genealogists.
Now let's continue. Part 3.
In the same book,
and I'm doing all this for a reason. All right, because I'm painting the picture. Read.
In the same book of the Mauritanian scholar Sheikh Saeed Muhammad Sheikh Ahmad Suleiman.
So these are long names, brother. Continue.
Writing to the commandment of the Trazah claims, as for the Zawaya mentioned above, other than the Tashumsha, they are, for the most part, Himyarite.
In origin. You see that? Continue.
The Idul Ihaj trace their ancestry to the Ansar. The two genealogies are brought together because the Ansar and the Himyarites were both of the same tribe.
Watch this.
Most of the Zawaya entered the country with the Imam Abu Bakr,
the ancestor to the Wolof. I need you to remember these things. I'm doing all this for a reason. I showed Arabic sources that show the Jews going into Northern Africa, going into the Sahara, going into the Maghreb. Where are the Wolof? That's West Africa. Okay? Senegal. Continue.
Ancestor to the Wolof, Umar, when they introduced Islam there. He was of Himyarite origin.
There it goes again.
Well.
He was of Himyarite origin as well as the bulk of his warriors. Let's continue. Now, this is the same book. All right? Read the top.
Yemenis in Slovakia. The Mauritanian scholar Ahmad Al-Amin Ash-Shinkiti, in his Kitab al-Wasit fi Tarajim Udaba Shinkit, indicates that there are divergencies in the chroniclers about the origins of Lamtunia. Mm-hmm. But the most prevalent view is that they are Himyarites.
There it goes again. Go ahead.
That they are Himyarites and that they entered the Maghreb.
They entered the Maghreb sometime prior to Islam. Okay? Now, read the bottom. As regards this subject.
As regards this subject, it is also important to take into account the Kitab al-Akil by al-Hassan, Ibn Hamad, Ibn Yaqub, Amin al-Hamdani, as it is specifically mentioned as proof of the Himyari origin of the Sanhaja in Western Islamic sources.
Now you see, it's the same thing being repeated, but there's something right here as them being the ancestor of the Wolof. Let's continue. Now let's see the Wolof people right here, okay, in Senegal. I just Google if the slave trade happened in Senegal. Let's continue. Going back to the book, The Unknown Arabs, the Wolof. Read this.
Abubakar bin Ammar, the Sanhaja Himyarite ancestor of the Wolof,
You see? Go ahead.
was also called Abdul Dardai, and he had a son named Amin Amadou. This Ahmed Amadou was called Ndanya.
He was called that. John Rolfe. Let's go to some we could pronounce. John Rolfe Willis.
John Rolfe Willis says, the tradition holds that Abu Dardai, the forerunner of the Ndanyan,
the founder of the Wolof community in Wallo, Senegal. Read.
was descended from Morabitin, Almoravids.
You see that? There it goes again. The Almoravids, which is who? The Sanhaja. All of this is tying together. All of it. Right? Keep reading.
Again, Amadou Boubacar Bouamar, who took the name Inyanyin Yinde, first Barak of the Wallo, is seen as the son of Almoravid Amir Abu Bakar and a Tornado woman.
Mm-hmm.
El Khalil El Nawi says in his book Muslim Africa, The Lost Identity, Indadyan Nj, the first king of Wallo, is descended from Abu Bakr ibn Umar, commander of the Almoravids, and an African wife of his.
Go ahead.
El Khalil El Nawi says that Abu Bakr's wife was an African, but in fact, she wasn't an African, but an Arab woman from the tribe of Tarud.
Go ahead.
Remember that the Tarud tribe is a branch of the Mandingo tribe and are Yemenites.
Hold on. So even the Mandingo tribe are said to be Yemenites. Go ahead. Keep reading.
As I said before, Askia Muhammad, the famous 16th century Songha dynasty king that many so-called African Americans...
Many so-called what?
Many so-called African Americans take pride in, was from the Tarud branch of Mandingo.
And what are they? Yemenites from the Himyar Empire that were Jews. Sure. Let's look at something, right? It says, in the Senegalese bush, Bani Israel tribe claims Jewish heritage. This is a modern day source. This is not ancient, nothing. This is what they're claiming. The Wolof people in Senegal, the very same people who I just showed, have lineage to the Himyar tribe of Yemen, which is Jews. Go ahead, read that.
The residents in this village, all Muslims, are members of a tribe whose name means sons of Israel. And they trace their lineage to two clans, Sila and Drami. They say they are descended from Egyptian Jews.
They are descended from Egyptian Jews. Didn't we even read that earlier? So you see how everything begins to connect? Go ahead.
The Leshkapak tree towers over the parched shrubbery at the edge of Bani Israel, a dusty community in eastern Senegal near the border with Mali. The residents, all Muslims, are members of a tribe whose name means sons of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And they trace their lineage to two clans, Celia and Drami. They say they are descended from Egyptian Jews.
Go ahead.
We are all practicing Muslims, and we don't want to become Jewish.
You see, they're Muslims. They don't want to become Jewish. Go ahead.
Fadiga says. In fact, we don't like to talk too much about our Jewish background, but we don't hide it either. We know our people came from Egypt to Somalia, and from there to Nigeria. where they split about 1,000 years ago. One branch of the two families went to Mali, another to Guinea, and we settled here.
Go ahead.
Bahar believes the historic presence is responsible for some of the faint Jewish traces still visible in the region. West African musicians often decorate the traditional 21-string bridge harp known as kora with Jewish symbols, including the Star of David, it's a shield. In some words,
It's not a star, but go ahead. It's a shield. Go ahead.
And
It's a lily. Go ahead.
Pomegranate.
Go ahead.
It's a star. In some words, in Wolof.
In some words in Wolof, there it goes. Come on.
In some words in Wolof, a widely spoken language in Senegal, bear more resemblance to Hebrew pronunciation than Arabic,
Go ahead.
which is spoken in neighboring countries.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolof word for cheek is pronounced laki in Hebrew. One of Wolof's words for wise is pronounced the same as Hebrew word chakam.
Mm-hmm.
A weaver or fabric merchant is called rab, similar to rabbi.
Let's continue.
In Singalese bush, Bani.
No. It's the same source. I believe. You can look.
I believe there's an element of truth to the tradition of the Bani Israel, especially since they have nothing to gain from pretending.
See, they don't have anything to gain from saying they're Jews because they don't even follow the quote unquote Judaism. They're Muslims.
Right.
Go ahead.
They have nothing to gain from pretending, says Bahar, who returned from Senegal in 2011. They are not seeking Israeli citizenship, nor are they claiming to be Jewish. In fact, their Jewish ancestry and name can only give them problems.
You see that? It only could give them problems. But they're like, yeah, we know we Jews. We just don't talk about it. All right, let's go to the next source. So now this is the Portuguese in West Africa, right? This is what the Portuguese are saying when they go to the same place known as the Wolof Kingdom. This is what they said. Read that in this country.
In this country and in Mandinga.
And in Mandinga, go ahead.
There are Jews who are called Gaul.
They are Jews. See, even the Portuguese are saying. So the Muslims said it. The people themselves are saying it, even though they don't follow any traditions of Judaism. And the Portuguese are saying it. But you know, what do we know? Go ahead.
There are Jews who are called Gaul, and they are black like the people of the country.
And they black. Come on.
However, they do not have synagogues and do not practice the ceremonies of other Jews.
So they don't practice the ceremonies of other Jews. Who are the other Jews? Well, guess who the other Jews are if they're from Portugal. They're talking about the Jews of Europe. So they're saying these Jews in Africa are not even practicing what the Jews of Europe are practicing, but they're Jews. Go ahead.
They do not live with the other blacks, but separate from them in their own villages.
Go ahead.
These Gaul are usually jesters and singers and play on viols and kabkos. And because they do not dare to enter the villages, they take up a position behind the houses of the lords of the village. And at daybreak, they sing his praises until he orders them to be given a ration of millet. Then they go away. And when the Lord leaves his house, these Jews go in front of him, singing and calling out their jests. If the Jews did not know these jests, and if they did not greet the Lord in this way, they would not be tolerated by the blacks.
See, they were oppressed. So if they're oppressed by the rulers of this land, who would be the slave sold? I just want you to think about that. Keep reading.
For so great is the ill will felt towards them that they are barred by blacks, or barred by the blacks, and do not dare enter one of their houses except that of the Lord. And if they are found in the village, they are beaten with sticks. No Gaul, whether Jew or Jewess,
whether male or female, go ahead,
may take water from a spring until everyone else has finished drawing water.
mm-hmm.
And then the last person will give them water. Or if they live in a country where there's a lot of water, they have some spring of their own set apart.
You see, so this is what they're saying. It's segregation. And remember, it also even says that in this country and in Mandinga, aka Mandingo, there are Jews who are called Gaul, and they are black like the people of the country. But then you have the separate group of quote unquote blacks who are ruling in the west coast of Africa, who are oppressing these Jews. So who would be the slaves? Let's continue. Now, Mandinga or Mandingo, also on the west coast of Africa. Now let's dive into these people. Go ahead.
Mandingo. The Mandingo is a very large Arab tribe with many branches found in many parts of the area called Africa, south of the Sahara. The Mandingo tribe, also called the Mandi or Wangara, includes such branches as the Soniki, the Susu, the Kita, the Kaba, the Sako, the Sakhonoko, the Fani.
You got this, brother.
The Fana, the Jahanki.
You got this, brother.
The Bambara, the Zwala, the Songhai, the Turud, the Dalholonki. Ibrahim Tarkan, professor of the history of the Middle Ages at Cairo University in Khartoum, says all tribes of Mandingo claim an Eastern origin.
Read that again. All what?
All tribes of Mandingo claim
an Eastern origin. Come on, man. Go ahead.
Al-Ghanimi also mentions the fact that all tribes of Mandingo say they are from the Middle East.
They say they from the Middle East. See, they're saying this. Now, on the bottom where this is highlighted, I'm going to read this source. That's the source we're about to get into. Okay? Let's go to it. Now, you see on the left, you see the source that I had. You see, what did I have to do? I found they only have this source in Arabic. I had to copy and paste on Google Translate. So now I can show you what this is saying. Go ahead.
All branches of the Mandingo tribes claim that they originally came from the east. Although Al-Sadi says of the people of Mali, they are originally black.
Go ahead.
As for the word Mali or Mal, it is what these countries are known by in books. Arabic and foreign alike, it is the name used by the Fulani tribes for the land of the Mandingo or Malinki. It is a corruption of the word Mandi, which means to silence, among the Fulani as follows I. It was said that the word Mal or Malit that appeared on some medieval maps is a Berber name. Arab writers, historians, and geographers refer to the state of Mali by the name Mal or Mali or Mili and the like. And among these writers are Al-Bukhari, Abdul Hamid Al-Garam Nati.
Now, among these tribes are Arabic names. That's how we're gonna keep it. All right? The Arabic names among these tribes. Now let's continue.
Palmer translates an Arabic document from Sokoto, Nigeria, in which the origin of the Sarankuli, Mandingo, is explained as being from Persians from the neighborhood of the two rivers, the Nile and the Euphrates, Mesopotamia. Palmer states it will be understood, however.
Now, what's interesting, and I'm not going to go into this now, is this also explains how an animal got to the west coast of Africa. That is a chicken. That is not from the west coast of Africa, but from Mesopotamia and the Middle East. And then if you look at the oral traditions of the tribes about the chicken, it'll blow your mind. But anyway, let's continue.
It will be understood, however, that the origin attributed to the Sarakoli and other Saharan tribes in Persia does not refer to the historical kingdom of Persia, but to the peoples of Mesopotamia and Syria.
Such as what?
Such as the Phoenicians.
Such as the Phoenicians? Go ahead.
And the Elamites, who, according to tradition, spread at a very early epoch from Asia to Africa and are called Cushites.
Let's read.
Dr. Joseph Williams, author of Hebrewisms in West Africa,
we read that earlier. Go ahead.
The full moon dances and the matrimonial ceremonies found today in Susu, Mandingo tribe, are undoubtedly traceable to the Astarte cult. Astarte, as I explained earlier, was an ancient Phoenician god.
Now, you should read Kings and Chronicles and read about the Northern Kingdom and read about how the Northern Kingdom began to follow the gods that they were surrounded by, and then even influence the Southern Kingdom. Just food for thought. Continue.
Soso is the same as Su, which is another name for the Garamantes. The Susu branch of Mandingo is named after Ir Gara ancestors who were also known by the name Su. Susu simply is a reduplicated form of Su. These Garamantes, or Su, later mixed with Zakhawa, who are from the Juhanya branch of the Himyarite Arabs from the Yemen.
Who became what?
And became the Mandingo.
There it goes again. There it goes again. West coast of Africa. Now, this is a book called The Golden Age of the Moors. All right. Start where it says the Tuareg.
The Tuareg, like the Zenata, to whom the introduction of the camel into North Africa is attributed, certainly came from the east, from the Eastern Mediterranean or Southern Arabia. The grouping of the tribes is highly complex and need not trouble us here. The only tribes which will concern us are the Limta, Sanhaja,
there it goes again,
Jadala, Guedala, Lemtuna, Asjur, and Masufa.
Go ahead.
The Sahara was also the home of another people from the east. These were the Jews.
These were the what?
These were the Jews.
These were the what?
Were the Jews.
Go ahead.
Who since the beginning of the Christian era have formed an important element in the population of the North African littoral, whence they had spread far into the interior. The most important southward migration of the Jewish tribes probably occurred in AD 115.
So the southward migration from North Africa to South Africa, which is the interiors of Africa, which is sub-Saharan Africa, probably occurred 115 AD. Go ahead.
Following a rebellion into Cyrenaica against the Romans, the migrants took two different routes. One body traveled southward through air and across the middle Niger into Senegal.
Into what?
Into Senegal.
There goes Senegal again. Go ahead.
And Fouta.
Now read the bottom footnote. Historically,
the most important of the Tuareg tribes were the Sakhawa, to whom reference is made in a later chapter. At a date which was probably subsequent to the first Arab invasion of North Africa, they established themselves as a ruling aristocracy throughout the Sudan, into which they are credited with having introduced metalworking. The Hausa, in Hausa and neighboring countries, there is a caste of metalworkers and leather workers who are distinct from the rest of the population and are probably Zakhawa stock. Today, the Zakhawa survive under that name only to the east of Lake Chad, and therefore outside our province.
Let's continue to paint the picture. Right back to the book, The Unknown Arabs. Read.
So the Mandingos are descendants of the above mentioned Zakhawa.
We just read that, didn't we? Go ahead.
Who are Himyarite Arabs.
From where?
From the Yemen.
From Yemen. And who are the Himyarites? Jews. Go ahead.
Boville says the persistence with which the Mandingos held the stage in Western Africa is very striking. Their tenacious hold on Ghana, the expansion of Mali into a great empire which received recognition far beyond the shores of Africa, and the brilliant Soniki dynasty of the Askias placed the Mandingos above all their races, Salakia, above all races of the Western Sudan.
See, they place the Mandingos above all races of the Western Sudan. Go ahead.
The qualities which enabled them to achieve so much they owed to the nomadic Zaghawa blood.
We just read that. Go ahead.
Dana Reynolds of Columbia University says some of these Zaghawa in West Africa, called Wangara, Wakar, or Wakor by Arab writers, all names given to the Mandingo, adopted the dialects of the indigenous people.
They adopted the dialects of the indigenous people. Oh, show me Hebrew and show me the... Let's be real. Let's be real. Continue.
They adopted the dialects of the indigenous peoples of Mali, called Mandi, Mandingo. These Wangara came to be called the Sanaki.
Remember this, the Sanaki. Go ahead.
Or Sarakholi.
Remember those names. Come on.
And include today Djula and Dialonki and other peoples now speaking dialects called Mandi. Sonaki and Sarakholi people still consider themselves relatives of the Zarma Songhai.
Let's continue. Now, this is the universal geography. All right. The earth and its inhabitants, the universal geography. Let's go right to the top where it says, and what amongst the pagan.
It was amongst the pagan
Mandingans. Go ahead.
Gambia.
Go ahead.
The English first met the so-called mumbo jumbo, or village executioners, who were armed with tremendous powers to overawe and punish all violators of the custom. At present, they are little more than clowns, the laughing stock of the children. The Mandingans, who are now broken up into many rival petty states, are excellent husbandmen, but display their remarkable talents chiefly as traders. They have been compared to the Sarakolis.
Sarakolis? Didn't we just read that? The what?
The Sarakolis, the Jews of West Africa.
The Jews of West Africa. Go ahead.
But unlike them, are chiefly wholesome dealers, carrying on a large caravan trade between Sierra Leone and Timbuktu, and extending their expeditions from Senegal to the lower Niger.
Let's continue. Go ahead.
The travels of Ludovico Varthema. The chapter concerning...
Now we're gonna go right to the point. Yeah, just
other Arabian historians?
Other Arabian historians. Read that.
Other Arabian historians assert that the immigration did not take place till after the fall of Zedekiah, the last king of Judah, and the devastation of Judea by the armies of Nebuchadnezzar, when many Jewish families sought refuge in the Hejaz. Personal experience enables me to add that such also is the prevailing tradition among the Jews of Yemen of their original settlement in that country.
You see, let's continue. Go ahead.
From these various accounts, it is natural to infer that the Jewish mountain there dwell 4,000 or 5,000 Jews who go naked and are in height 5 or 6 spans and have a feminine voice. And are
these dudes is disrespectful. Go ahead.
And are more black than any other color.
Oh, so the Jews are black. Go ahead.
They live entirely upon the flesh of sheep and eat nothing else. They are circumcised and confess that they are Jews. And if they can get a Moor into their hands, they skin him alive.
You see? So these are the Jews of Yemen in Africa. So let's continue.
Geography D. Adrisi.
Now you see when this is written, between his lifespan and 1100, 1166. So let's get right into it.
Publication 1836.
Mm-hmm.
There were formerly in Kamnori,
Which is Cameroon, which is West Africa,
well-known towns and remarkable residences, but the peoples of Zakhawa.
There goes the name again. Lamtuna of the desert. There goes the name again. Go ahead.
And Lamtuna of the desert, who inhabited both sides of this country, Ayamin Kamnori, undertook the conquest, annihilated most of these towns, and dispersed or destroyed their tribes.
Mm-hmm.
The inhabitants of the country of Kamnori, Cameroon, according to the report of the merchants, claim to be Jews.
Claim to be Jews. Another primary Arabic source. Let's continue. Now let's talk about Yoruba land. Now, if anybody doesn't know, a lot of the Yorubas, they were brought where? They were brought to the Caribbean islands. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, also Haiti, right? Let's continue. This is from the History of the Yorubas. Look at that author right there, right? Read from The Yorubas Are Said.
Dr. Obadiah Johnson. The national historians are certain families.
No. The Yorubas. Go straight to the point. Straight to the point.
The Yorubas are said to have sprung from Lamurdu, one of the kings of Mecca.
One of the kings of Mecca. So they're saying, listen, we came from the east. Go ahead.
One of the kings of Mecca, whose offspring were Ududwa, the ancestor of the Yorubas, the kings of Gogo Beriri, and of the Kukawa, two tribes of the Hausa country.
Okay, let's continue. Now, this man right here, Wesley Muhammad, PhD scholar. We're going to get into his work, and he's going to be talking about the Yoruba. Okay? The Black Arabian origins of the Yoruba. Okay? Now read Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
Dr. Wesley Muhammad is a historian of religion. He earned a bachelor's degree in religious studies from Morehouse College in 1994, as well as a master's degree in 2003 and a PhD in 2008 in Islamic Near Eastern Studies from the University of Michigan. Dr. Muhammad's work has been published in several renowned peer-reviewed journals.
Oh, well, is it peer-reviewed? Is it this? Is it that? I'm showing this just to make you be quiet. Yeah.
Including International Journal of Middle East Studies, Journal of the American Oriental Society, and American Journal of Islamic Social Sciences. Dr. Muhammad has contributions in Islam, Sage Benchmarks in Religious Studies, 4 volumes. Volume 2, Islamic Thought, Law, and Ethics, Mona Siddiqui, Muhammadan History, Thought and Culture, an Encyclopedia of the Prophet of God by Cole Fitzpatrick and Adam Walker. Ranoko Rashidi, African Star over Asia, the Black Province in the East. Okay, now we're going to go and we're going to read his work. Let's get into it. Were the Yoruba Arabians? Read the top. Dr. Wesley Muhammad is a historian. Oh, select.
Yeah, you good luck.
Who were Yoruba Arabians? Were the Yoruba Arabians? The Yorubas tell a very interesting story about their origin. They say they came from Saudi Arabia, what is now Saudi Arabia. In the early days, before the Red Sea expanded to what it is, it was just a trickle river, because the Red Sea is just an expansion of the Rift Gorge, the Rift Valley that runs all the way up to Turkey and starts down below Tanzania. That same valley is where most of life found its beginning. That water in the Red Sea has covered up that valley, so there's a lot of black bones down there. But this piece of land, which is now desert, which wasn't always desert, that is called Saudi Arabia, is the center of the home of these African peoples who call themselves Yorubas. In ancient times, that area, Saudi Arabia, was the eastern sector of what we now call Egypt, or sometimes Eastern Ethiopia. Baba James Small.
That's his quote. So go ahead.
On the basis of language, the Yoruba people could not have originated from either Arabia, Egypt, or Nubia. The Yoruba language has no family relationship with Arabic, the primary language of the people of Mecca and the rest of Arabia.
Now, what is the professor doing? He's quoting two people, historians, that are disagreeing with each other. That's why I put that here, to show that he's not biased. Now, James Small.
James Small, African-American historian as well as Ifa priest, is above articulating the official traditional Yoruba view of their origin from Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
J.A. Atanda, Nigerian historian from the University of Ibadan, is, on the other hand, articulating the current scholarly view, which dismisses the traditional view of Arabian origins.
You see, it dismisses the traditional view, the oral tradition. Go ahead.
Dismisses the traditional view of Arabian origins in the light of some linguistic and archaeological data suggesting indigenous African origins.
Mm-hmm.
Can the Orthodox tradition be reconciled with the data? I believe it can. In broad terms, though not in all of its details. Did the Yoruba people originate in Arabia or not? Yes and no. All Yoruba-speaking groups did not originate in Arabia.
You see that? So it's these people begin to dwell. What did we read in one of the previous sources? They took on the dialects of the indigenous peoples. So these are people that are coming from the east and dwelling amongst the tribes of Africa. Very simple to understand. Go ahead.
All Yoruba-speaking groups did not originate in Arabia, but an important and defining one did. Although often considered as a single people in pre-colonial times, the Yoruba did not perform a political. That's cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide.
Yeah, next slide. Salakia.
Reverend Samuel Johnson's 1846 to 1901 History of Yoruba in Lagos, 1921, is championed as a recension of the official traditional history of the Yoruba, specifically of the Oyo. Himself of Yoruban Acts descent. Johnson is the most celebrated historian of the Yoruba people.
And we previously read that. Go ahead.
And the pioneer historian of the Yoruba. His history is considered a privileged source of pride in the Yoruba heritage, despite the fact that it has some severe shortcomings. Not only was Johnson not a trained historian, but as a member of the Church Missionary Society at Ibadan in Oyo, he had his own strongly Christian perspective on Yoruba history. Nevertheless, it is with good reason that his work still remains the cornerstone of Yoruba studies.
Mm-hmm.
This work seems to have become the standard national historical account of Oyo society. Literate Oyo informers either regard it as the history of Oyo and the Yoruba, or as a frame of reference for a narration of their own local histories.
Mm-hmm.
The good reason for this continued reliance on Johnson's account is that Johnson's primary sources for his history were good. The Orokan, official historians of the Oyo court. These are the oral traditionists and musicians who serve the Alafin or Oyo ruler. The Orokan are a hereditary corporation of male praise singers and specialists of the past. Court bards or griots.
I want you to remember that. Griots. Go ahead.
Court bards or griots, if you will. The institution is said to go back to Oraminyan, grandson of the Yoruba ancestor.
Let's continue.
Oduduwa. They are therefore looked to for the official history of the Oyo. Johnson himself was a descendant of the Alafin Abiodun, and this circumstance opened to him important sources of oral tradition in Oyo itself.
Go ahead.
In the late 19th century, between 1887 to 1897, Johnson interviewed the sitting in Orokan in New Oyo during the Alafinate rulership of Adeniyi in 1875 to 1905. Thus, while the history which Johnson presents in his history is a highly tendentious and heavily edited sample of Orocan oral history, underneath his own manipulations is some authentic Oyo Yoruba tradition of great significance.
Go ahead. She said there's been some manipulation here. Go ahead.
According to Johnson's version, the Yoruba, he too is a victim of the British promoted.
Of the what?
Of the British promoted.
El Diablo. Go ahead.
Oyo-centric pan-Yorubaism, sprung from an apostate Muslim from Arabia named Ududuwa. Ududuwa was a magician turned Muslim who then relapsed back into idolatry.
Go ahead.
His father, Lamurdu, whom Johnson erroneously identifies with the biblical Nimrod, was a Meccan king, which no doubt means only that he was a clan leader or ruler, sheikh, in or around Mecca and Arabia. Oduduwa's relapse into idolatry attracted many, and they called for the official return to the religion of the Jahiliyyah, pre-Islamic Arabian paganism. Oduduwa reportedly converted a mosque to an idol temple, and when a pious Muslim broke the idol, a civil war erupted, during which Oduduwa's father, Lamurdu, was killed. The Muslims prevailed in this civil war, running Oduduwa and his followers out of Arabia westward into Africa via Upper Egypt. Oduduwa is described as Omo Orisa, child of the Orisha.
Child of the Orisha. Now, if you know anything about the Orisha, it has a lot to do with Brujeria, Santeria, Voodoo. Go ahead. And it all goes back, if you study the origins, goes back to the ancient Canaanite religion, which is something that Israelites had an issue with following. Go ahead.
Oduduwa is described as Omo Orisha, child of the Orisha, because he brought with them out of Arabia 2 idols, and these will be the basis of the religion he brings to West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually settled in Ile-Ife, the center of Yoruba land. A Muslim army was dispatched after them, but was defeated. Oduduwa and sons then swore a mortal hatred of the Muslims of their country and were determined to avenge themselves of them.
Let's continue.
So the Yoruba, Borgawa, and Hausa all trace their ancestry back to Namudu, Lamurudu. This is persuasive agreement. From another angle, though, the Yoruba and Borgu traditions of origin diverge from the Hausa. As Lang points out, the Hausa legend refers to origins from Canaan.
From what?
From Canaan.
From what?
From Canaan.
You see, from Canaan. See, I'm showing you this not just to prove the origins of Israelites going into the west coast of Africa, but even Canaanites that influenced the Israelites that were in the west coast of Africa, as they always did. Because if I have to prove one, I got to prove the other, right? Continue.
The Hausa legend refers to origins from Canaan and Baghdad, while the Yoruba tradition mentions Mecca as the point of origin. While the Yoruban in Borguan, Lamurdu is from the Hejaz in Western Arabia. And the Hausa one, Lamurdu, is from Canaan.
You see that? So the Hausa say they from Canaan. And if you know anything about the Hausa, they helped the slave trade. Continue.
Although there's good reason to identify the Kirsa of Borguan tradition with the Oduduwa of Yoruban tradition. We cannot identify Oduduwa Kirsa with Bayajida of the Hausa tradition.
Mm-hmm.
This is so not because the latter is to be identified with the 10th century Berber Abu Yazid ben Kedad, who rebelled against and was killed by the Fatimids in 947, as some suggest.
You got it, brother.
The arguments for that identification are weak. Rather, the Oduduwa Kersa equals Bayajida identification is to be resisted because Bayajida's individuality, as it appears in the Dara Palace tradition, is clearly mythical.
Go ahead.
His legend shows an obvious local political agenda as well as serious indebtedness to pan-Islamic folklore and ancient Near Eastern myth.
Mm-hmm.
This does not mean, though, that Bayajida figure has no historical value.
Because in all myths, there is what? Truth. Go ahead.
W.R. Hallam's suggestion in 1966 that this legendary figure actually personifies a people, the Semitic migrants into Dara.
The what?
The Semitic migrants into Dara is very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So while Oduduwa Kasira was an individual, historical leader of a movement of people out of the Near East.
Out of the what?
Out of the Near East.
Out of the what?
Out of the Near East.
Into where?
Into West Africa.
Simple.
Bayajida is a mythical personification of that migrating people.
You see? So the oral traditions prove this through their myths, through their stories, through their traditions. You can't make this up. Go ahead.
Despite some modern scholarly cynicism, the basic story no doubt reflects real historical developments.
Let's continue. The history of the Yoruba. You can read from the top.
To the historian, discerning the meanings and implications of these myths is important. Of the implications, the most obvious would seem to be that the Yoruba people believe they originated in their present homeland and have always lived there. Since, however, it is known from other evidence than myths that the earliest ancestors of all peoples of West Africa came into that region from other parts of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The Yoruba belief can only mean that the Yoruba have lived so long in their present homeland that they can no longer remember originally coming into it from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, available archaeological evidence strongly indicates that the Yoruba are one of the oldest peoples in the tropical forests of the West African region.
Keep reading.
As for the introduction of the names of Abatala and Oduduwa, that same guy, into these creation myths, there seems no doubt that what we have here is a conflation of very ancient myths with later known facts at some point in Yoruba history.
Go ahead.
As will be seen in subsequent chapters, Abatala and Oduduwa were not mythical heavenly beings. They were humans.
So you see, these people begin to influence the ancient stories and oral traditions of a people that have been there for so long. Because just as we read, what Jews and other people from the ancient Near East do as they travel, they mingle among the people. This is normal.
Right.
It's like your family from America moving to Germany, and then 100 years later, what are they going to be speaking? German. What are the customs that they're going to be keeping? German. This is simple to understand.
Right.
Continue.
They were humans who played a very significant role, or who played very significant roles in a great era of Yoruba history.
Go ahead.
Without doubt, what happened was the contemporaries or successors of Abatala and Oduduwa added these two names to myths that had existed.
You see that? Their names were added to the myths that existed before them. Go ahead.
There were these two names to myths that had existed probably a very long time, but long before their time, in an attempt to accord Oduduwa, in particular, the very high position he deserved in the transformation of Yoruba civilization in the most significant era in early Yoruba history.
And where did those two people came from that induced their names into those traditions of the original Yoruba? They came from the Middle East. Let's continue. Rethinking the origin and meaning of the name Yoruba. Let's read this.
The origin and meaning of Yoruba, that a name which designates a people and their language, is shrouded in controversy. Hitherto, there was no accurate knowledge of the origin and meaning of the name, but alternative facts and misinformation which fueled the apparent controversy. There was also misconception about the name which discouraged conducting any research into its origin and meaning. Various researches on Yoruba were conducted mainly from an historical perspective. Consequently, the name Yoruba was erroneously regarded as a meaningless word. This paper, which rethinks the origin and meaning of the name Yoruba, embraces history, onomastics, and archaeology to explain that Yoruba is not a meaningless word, and to justify the tracing of the origin of Yoruba to Yemen.
So, hold on, say that again.
And to justify the tracing of the origin of Yoruba to Yemen.
To Yemen. There it goes again. There it goes again. Go ahead.
In ancient Arabia, where the personal Arabic name Yarab, with its root in the Hebrew and Aramaic word Arab, meant a Westerner. The meaning of Yoruba, the name of a people, is elucidated in this paper as the people living where the sun set, or the people from the West, based on the meaning of Arab in Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic languages.
Let's continue. Now, this is the griots and the grilotes, right? I told you remember this. Read where it says Fernandez.
Are you talking about all the way? Oh, I see it. Okay. I can't see that part because it's cut off. See how it's kind of sliced?
No, down here.
Oh, down
Fernandez.
here? Oh, got you. Fernandez reported that there was a Jewish community in Walata, an important trading city in southern Mauritania, 1,000 kilometers from the Atlantic coast.
Go ahead.
These Jews were very rich but greatly oppressed.
They were very rich but greatly oppressed. Go ahead.
Some of them wandering merchants, others goldsmiths or jewelers. He may have heard about the common belief among Moors that griots.
Who are the griots? The holders of the oral tradition, the singers, the ones of the psalms and the wise poems. That they were what?
That griots and other craftspeople were of Jewish origin.
You see that? The holders of the history that sing the history through the songs and through poems. Now, the World Book Encyclopedia 306, right, page 306, it says the majority of American blacks trace their origin to an area in Western Africa that was controlled by three great and wealthy empires from about 300 AD to the late 1500s. These empires were Ghana. We dealt with that, right? Then we showed Jews were there. Mali, we showed Jews were there. Songhai, we showed Jews were there. Black Americans, in addition to dark brown skin, most members have brown eyes, dark woolly or curly hair. I mean, you can't make this up. Now, what do you see here? You see the map of what? Of the transatlantic slave trade right here. There's no denying this. There's no getting away from this. If I'm wrong, debunk me. It's that simple. If I'm wrong, debunk me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Go into all the Arabic sources, go into the oral traditions, so on and so forth. But with that, I say shalom. I pray everybody's safe in this blizzard. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you push this knowledge so you can move past Babylon to Timbuktu. All right, shalom.